Good morning, Larry. We are here early June with more data, much of it not much different than we've seen over the last few months. Inventory's up, prices are down a bit, days on market are longer. It seems to me like there's a fair bit of buyer paralysis. We've got a lot of people sitting on the sidelines. They've pushed pause for whatever reason. I imagine, I'm not the only one seeing that. Frankly, anybody who works as a realtor is seeing that. But what are your thoughts on that, Larry?
Well, it's funny you use the word paralysis because that's exactly what's going on. Nobody can answer why buyers aren't doing anything, but at the end of the day, buyers aren't doing a lot. That's not to say homes aren't selling. We are still seeing some homes sell. We're finding that buyers out there are definitely more active in trying to find a deal as opposed to trying to find the absolute best house they want. It's more about what's the best deal I can find. It's one of the things that I'm seeing. But at the end of the day, right now, I think there's a lot of uncomfort out there amongst the sellers on the market. We've got more inventory than we've had in a long time. We have no answers to give our clients as to why we're not seeing offers come in. Talking to agents from the buyer side or even dealing with our own buyers, there's no definitive answer why they're not proceeding. Obviously, there's a lot of discontent from the economic side out there with Trump and all the things that he's talking about. And right now, it's a very unknown market for a lot of us out here today that we haven't experienced either in a long time or ever, and it's creating a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, I see a lot of the same. The tariff concern obviously is a big issue. I guess the nice thing is we do have a new government that seems relatively focused on kind of nation building projects and unifying the country. I would like to think that over the next few months we'll see consumer confidence return. I mean, we've talked about that before. That measure right now is it's not a strong number. I don't have the
Yep.
stat in front of me, but consumer
Lowest it's been
confidence
since
is down.
2008.
Yeah, yeah, and remember 2008, 2009, that was a time when there was a lot of uncomfortable times around financial concerns. So we're somewhat back in that arena. I think the strange thing is that as inventory rises to the levels that we've got now, and most communities are sitting around 4.5 months of inventory, which is squarely in it's a buyer's market, frankly. There's a lot of opportunity though. And so, if for whatever reason your situation is, you do have confidence, say, around whether your job is secure and so on, and you've been looking for just that right property, now's not a bad time with interest rates in the low to mid fours, and inventory so high that you don't have to necessarily compete the way you would have in past markets. I think there's a big opportunity.
Well, John, I think from the buyer's perspective right now, there's definitely opportunity for people to get into the market where they probably wouldn't have a couple of years ago. We
Mhm.
are seeing homes sell. We're seeing homes sell today that were bought in 21, 22 that are selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars less. So
Yeah.
that tells you that there is a savings out there from the past several years. How long is this going to last before it flips the other way? Nobody knows. We don't have a crystal ball. We could be in this position for months or even years before we see prices shoot back up again or even competition on homes. So from a buyer perspective today, I think it's a great opportunity for people to get into the market for those who can.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's people that have a lot of anxiety over what's happening economically out there and that, and you got to deal with that in your own personal way, how you deal with it. But if you are dead set on getting into the marketplace as a homeowner, first time home buyer, you're looking to make a move up in a home, it's a great opportunity to do so. And we don't know how long it's going to last. So you could have this opportunity for the next 5 years for all we know, or it could be for the next, 3 months.
Yeah.
But the opportunity exists today. Now, one thing I will say is that we've seen prices drop off, but we've seen that over a 3 year period. They're not dropping considerably from where they are today. I find a lot of sellers now are kind of pumping the brakes a little bit
Hmm.
on those ultra low prices. And we still know a lot of sellers or potential sellers that haven't entered the marketplace yet because of what's going on out there in pricing.
Right.
So, what I would encourage from the buyer side is do the numbers on where we are today, where we were 3 years ago, where we could potentially be, and decide, is there a savings to be had if I buy today? And can I get the deal that I'm happy with or I'm looking for? So, again, I don't want to push anybody to do something that they're not comfortable with, but I think you need to look at it from an unbiased position when it comes to the numbers and let that drive your decision on what's best for you.
Well, and speaking of numbers, I mean, we've looked at some calculations and compared, a certain price point today versus what it might have been, say, 3 years ago, and contrasted that with rates. $100,000 price difference might only be over the course of a 5-year mortgage term. 5 years, you might save less than $1,000.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're waiting for a so-called better market and a better time, if that time comes with a bigger price tag, the
In a
opportunity
lot
is
of
behind you at
cases,
that point.
in a lot of cases, a higher interest rate with a lower price will cost you less from your cash flow position than paying a higher price with a lower interest rate.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
there's always two metrics you want to measure. How long is it going to take me to pay my mortgage off? And then what's my cash flow position and what can I afford in a payment?
Yeah.
Both numbers are important, right? You got to obviously have a mortgage payment that you can afford, but at the same time, direct savings from the purchase price is very hard to make up with lower interest rates. Very hard to make up. So again, do the numbers each way and decide what fits best for you. And there are opportunities to be had.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think as we progress through the summer, it's likely to be a bit on the quiet side. It usually is. If usual seasonality plays its course, July and August, we probably won't see a big uptick in activity. Um, Maybe early part of summer, if there's anybody who's looking to make a move, who maybe wants to get kids settled in their new school for September, some of that activity might take place. I think that's a small subset of the market, frankly, and so likely we'll see quiet times over summer. But that's opportunity for people to talk to their mortgage brokers and figure out their game plan in the next few months. And I think the opportunities will still be there for much of this year. And hopefully we see buyers, start to regain some confidence. Maybe another rate cut or two would be on the horizon. No guarantees there, obviously, but rates today aren't that bad, frankly.
No, they're not. So, I mean, and then my advice to sellers is put your armor on when you go into this market, man. It's a tough market to be trying to sell in. You need to exercise some patience. And if you are considering getting into the market and you're not waiting, you need to make sure your home is really going to stand out there because you're competing against a lot of other homes. So
Yeah.
take the time to look at what's listed in your neighborhood, what you're going to be competing against, and make sure you're putting your best foot forward and make sure you're dealing with your agent up front to find out what can be done to make sure you've got, your best possible presentation going
Yeah.
forward.
If you don't have it, you're gonna sit. I mean, there's no way
And
around it.
sometimes you can't change some of the things that are there because you don't want to do a major renovation, but the little
You price
things
it
can make a big
appropriately, though.
difference. Yeah.
Well, let's see how things play out over the summer, and until our next video, happy selling if anybody's choosing to do so.
Yeah. So good luck to everybody out there. And if you got questions, always feel free to reach out to us. We're here to help.
Absolutely.
All the best, bud. We'll talk
All right.
soon.
See ya.